There's going to be moments where I'm going to take it to her, and we'll see. I hope she's ready for it.
It's Charlotte Daly here with Mel Sport. I'm joined by Mikaela Mayer. You have really won over the English fans. They absolutely love you. But you're now going to be going to Liverpool and fighting in her hometown. Are you prepared for the fact that this could probably be the first time in your career that you're actually booed?
Yeah, I'm prepared. I also think that I have a ton of fans out here, I've been fighting out here for the last 3 fights, and I feel like everyone's taken to me really well, and I love coming out here. My next 3 fights will probably be out here, so I don't think I'm as big of an underdog as maybe most Americans would be, but I'm going to expect the worst. So I'm going to expect to get booed, whether on the way to the ring, in the ring, after, I don't know what, but that's okay. I'm going to use it as fuel. It'll pump me up.
And how do you prepare for something like that, like the psychological side of that, walking out into a ring potentially to those boos?
You can't. You just got to not care. And experience too. I've been doing this a long time now. I've been under pressure. I've had big fights, and so you just got to tune it out to the most part and know that once that bell rings, like that's really all that matters is how you perform in that ring. You just can't get caught up in the way there.
The hype before it all.
Yeah.
And you are stepping up in weight now. You've said that you've been doing this gradually, that it hasn't just been a sudden step up. How important is that kind of physically to do that gradually rather than kind of bouncing and ballooning between weights?
Well, yeah, so I was fighting at 130 for my whole career, and so it takes time to reverse that, right? Because I was constantly dieting down, constantly cutting my muscle down. And yeah, I would blow up in between, but sometimes that's not necessarily smart weight. It's just your body, and your hormones going, I can't hold this weight anymore, I'm blowing up. So I wanted to make sure that I was a strong, competitive 147 and did it right, and had the strength to compete with the girls of this weight.
Yeah. You spoke there about the cutting and kind of having to diet and stuff beforehand. What is that process like? Because we've seen, I know it's slightly different with UFC, but we saw Conor McGregor, his documentary showing how kind of grueling it is and how hard it is to maintain that, and the process of kind of making weight on a fight week. What is that like?
I think it was different for me because I cut so much weight. It wasn't something that I just had a really hard week of cutting. This is a diet that I would have to start 10 weeks out. So I would do a 10-week camp when I was fighting at 130, and it was a constant calorie deficit from day one. And so what that does, that makes training camp horrible. It makes it not fun. You're running out of calories in round 3 of sparring, and it's made me very mentally strong, and I was always well conditioned because in order to make that weight, guess what? You had to run a lot. Yeah. But it wasn't fun. And I realize that now because I'm having so much fun in camp, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know it was supposed to feel this way. I almost forgot. Yeah. And I just enjoying it so much more now, and I can think more, I'm not just surviving.
Yeah, I was going to say that must kind of help almost like your ring IQ, because
exactly.
When you're fatigued, that obviously your mind starts to go as well. Do you find now you're sharper and you're more on it?
Yeah, I'm sparring 12 3-minute rounds no problem with cycling sparring partners, so I just feel, and I'm able to think the whole time. Whereas before, you're on a calorie deficit like that, sparring 10 3-minute rounds, it's hard on your body, and you can't think so much. And then again, like you said, by the end of those rounds, you're just surviving, trying to get the conditioning and get the work in.
Yeah, well, you clearly sound very comfortable at that weight and happy to be at that weight. Now, Natasha has said that she feels like she holds that power advantage over you because of the fact that she's been fighting him now. What do you make of those comments? Do you think that you actually do have that power, that she's potentially underestimating that from you?
I think she's underestimating my size. We'll see when the fight happens. This is my first fight at 147, but I've been doing the work. I've been doing the work to get that strength and again, be a competitive 147 pounder. But I think she's going to be taken back by my size. I'm still big. I've always been big. And even standing next to Natasha, I still tower over her. Mm-hmm. So this is my first camp. Being able to cut to only 140, and I'm going to hold on to a lot more mass than I ever have, and I think I'm just going to look a lot bigger than what she thinks. Yeah. And hopefully that'll come across in my punches.
Yeah, and a lot of females do kind of move up and down the weight divisions more so than the men do. Do you think that's because of the depth within the divisions, that if you really want to keep putting on these amazing fights and like big shows that you've been doing so far that you have to be flexible and move up and down?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. And then also, women, we don't have the luxury of, taking one big fight and sort of sitting back and collecting a huge paycheck and just sort of, whatever. We have a lot to prove, and we have to hustle. We have to hustle a little bit more. And so we're going and doing things that maybe most wouldn't do to get those big fights, to get that respect, and to get our name built up and to grow women in this sport. So, it's a combination of having to, but also wanting to. We do it for a reason. We want those big fights. We want that respect, and we want to continue to grow.
Yeah, and you have grown so much, and that all-female card at the O2, that was massive, and you're forging the way now for other female boxers to come through. But it hasn't always been easy, and it's taken time for female boxing to kind of get to the point that it is now. Have you ever felt that stigma when you were starting out, that you were saying, "Oh no, I'm a boxer," and people were kind of going, "Oh, but you're a woman"?
I don't even know what I was thinking. I think we're all in this generation, we're all a little nutty, because I remember when I first started, like, there was women weren't competing in the Olympics yet. No promoters were signing us. So I had this dream, but it was delusional. Like, there was no way for this dream there was no path for me to accomplish this dream. But I just knew I just felt like I would be the exception. I just felt like I would find a way. And I did. And I think all of us in this generation, we had that mindset to an extent, right? Where we just knew we loved the sport and we would figure it out along the way. But I'm sure all of us had the negative response from plenty of people. I mean, I still get it from some people. I mean, it's a lot different than it was back then, but there was plenty of people who never thought that we would be here, but we all had to believe it.
It's infuriating. One person that did believe in you from the get-go was Coach Al, and
not always. Okay, not true. He just had to put up with me for a while until he did.
Well, we've seen your relationship with him like really blossom, and you guys are super close. That was what I was going to ask. How did that relationship start? Because you were his first female fighter, right?
He didn't want me. He ran a program in northern Michigan attached to a college where the kids came to college and they trained with him on a scholarship. Yeah. And they never had a female in that program. But they announced that women were going to be allowed to compete in the next Olympics. And so my dad kept calling him and trying to get him to bring me into the program. And he didn't want to, but the program was struggling, and women are allowed now. So he's like, all right, send her up. And even then, he did not think that I was going to make it. I mean, out of most of those guys in the program, I'm the one standing. And so it took years, though, of me showing up and winning and just proving to him that I really wanted it. And I don't think it was until the 2012 Olympic trials, when he saw me fall into the loser bracket and then fight my way all the way back into the finals, that he said, okay, wow, she's got what it takes. We're going to make 2016 happen. So, yeah, it took a while.
Yeah. He also said in an interview beforehand that he kind of broke you down and rebuilt you. What did he mean by that? Like, what was that process?
So I thought I was decent. I get there, and he's like, can I cuss on here? No.
Go for it.
Okay. I'm complete apparently. And he really just, like, broke me down, like, my confidence wise, because I thought I was doing some things right and I wasn't. And so every day was just hard, doing this wrong, yelling at me, blah, 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 blah. No positive reinforcement. Like, that's not something you're not going to get from Coach Al. Like, once in a while, close to a fight, you get one or two compliments. Okay, you're peaking, you're on point. But he does not compliment you throughout camp. And so, or at least he didn't back then. Now he's a little nicer. But he just broke me down and let me know, like, you don't know you're gonna listen to me and do everything I say, and it's not gonna be fun.
That's quite hard to deal with, no? Like, if someone's constantly, everyone loves a bit of praise every now and then. How do you mentally kind of deal with the fact that you're just constantly getting told that you're not good enough?
It was really hard, and but on the opposite side, you also have a lot of coaches who will constantly, they're yes men, right? They're just going to tell you, pump you up, tell their athlete everything they want to hear. Coach Al kept me humble. He kept me working hard. He kept me learning. And that was important, especially because I didn't walk into a gym until I was 17 years old. Took my first fight at 18 years old. So I had a lot to learn. I needed good coaching. I needed tough coaching. Now I feel like it's so different because I've almost surpasses expectations. He never expected me to ever like go this far, being a female. He's old school, and it's like I can see his belief in me now. I can see his trust in me now, and so he's come a long way.
Yeah, proved him wrong. You said there about kind of needing that sort of structure in your life as such. What was it that in your life you felt like you needed to get back into sport? Was there a point that you just thought, right, my life's going in one direction and I need to kind of pick a path? Or?
Yeah, so in hindsight, I actually came to this realization very young, because I was 17 and I was like, what am I doing with my life? I was in like 3 different high schools by the time I hit my senior year, just not focused on anything. I would never go to class. I don't even know how I graduated. Just partying, doing whatever I wanted, ditching, hanging out with the wrong people, and just told myself, like, no, like, I want to be successful. I don't want this for my future. And that is pretty big thing to come to terms with at 17 when everyone's still like, and I was like, I started young. I was a little wild at a young age. But I came around young, and that's when I just decided to start something new. I was like, I just need to start something new, anything. And my dad had always had me in sports growing up, but I wasn't doing anything throughout high school. And I decided to walk into a Muay Thai kickboxing gym down the street from my house that I had driven past for years, and my friend went and signed herself up.
Oh my God, wow, I love that. But that, as you said, it's quite a bold move to suddenly decide that you're going to take yourself out of that environment. It can be quite lonely, right, boxing and the training, and I don't think people understand kind of the hours you have to put in on your own doing those runs that you were talking about before.
I stopped hanging out with everybody. Like, I really did, and I lost my friends because I would get up, I'd go to school. The school I was at was like a continuation school, so it was like where the bad kids went, but we got out at noon, which is the good part. As long as we did our homework, we got out at noon. So I'd get out at noon, I'd walk home to my apartment. It was about, my dad's apartment. It was like a 1.5 miles away, 2 miles. And then I'd change. I found a job right across the street from the apartment at a hair salon. I'd walk across the street to the hair salon, work for a few hours, and then I'd walk back home, change, and I'd run 2 miles to the gym by 6, 7 o'clock and train. And I do that every single day.
That is crazy
until I
commitment
found
from
Coach
such a young age. I mean, well, it's all paid off because now you've got these big bills, these big cards, this Natasha Jonas fight coming up. Now, I want to ask you, because last time we spoke, you were talking about watching the Chantal Cameron Katie Taylor fight. Now, that's just happened. Katie Taylor did win. Is that a fight that you would be looking to take on next after you get past Natasha and she potentially does that trilogy with Chantal?
Chantal or Katie?
Either or, whoever emerges.
So I always envisioned fighting Katie. I always envisioned that for my career. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, hey, maybe that's not going to happen, because I was at 135 mandatory for her, but I didn't see that fight happening anytime soon. She was tied up. She was busy. And, now she's still busy. She's going to do a trilogy with Chantal. She still has that rematch clause with Serrano. And so I couldn't wait. I knew I could. And good thing I did it. Good thing I moved on and did what I had to do. I would always go back down to 140 to fight Katie. Yep. If that was an opportunity, I would. But I'm also interested in fighting Chantal. Katie used to be the one that everybody wanted to fight. Like, she was the one, right? She was the big fight that you would work towards. It's not that way anymore. She is, but there's also other women too. And so she's not the only person that I'm eyeing. But I would definitely consider her or Chantal at 140 or 147.
Absolutely. And I want to finish by asking, now you probably won't give me an answer to this, but a prediction for your fight with Natasha Jonas.
Like a ending, or
how's it going to play out?
I think you're going to see a action-packed fight from round one. I say that because I know I'm going to be in her hometown, and I know that I can't let any round get away from me. So that's my mentality. Yeah, I want to box and I want to be smart. You have a lefty lining up with an orthodox. We both got to be careful of that backhand, but also I'm not going to let the fight get away from me. Yeah. I can't, not one single round. So there's going to be moments where I'm going to take it to her, and we'll see. I hope she's ready for it.
It's going to be an exciting one, and I can't wait. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thanks.